Hi, I'm Panda Hershey with Your Full Expression. Welcome to the July 20th Coffee and Charts call, where we talk about how we're in that halftime period for the year and using this time between now and October to integrate all we've done, maybe think about some new plays that we've got to implement when we get back out on the field in the fall. Over the next 2 weeks, we really want to pay attention to the time from July 26th to August 2nd. This is a time that we may be pushing hard or feeling some resistance to the changes that have been happening since May. On August 1st in particular, please pay attention and be mindful about how you're using your body that day. If you can schedule something soothing to tame that fire you may be feeling inside you that day, that would be a great thing to do. And as always, we'll be watching the movement of the planets, and I point out more key days to pay attention to. And I'll see you on the other side. All right. So, oh, I didn't change the date again. All right. So it's halftime until October. We were talking about this earlier before the call, that this is the time that if it feels like you've stopped making progress, like you had so much momentum behind you and you were going forward and it feels like it's slowing down, it's because it is. And this is where we started last time with kind of that integration period and talking about that. And this is going to continue until October. And what is halftime used for? And I always think of football games because I grew up watching football. That is the time where the teams retreat to the locker rooms and the coach tells them, hey, guys, this is what you were doing great. Hopefully he starts with that and says, all those good things you've been doing, keep doing them. And this is the stuff we have got to get down before we get back on the field again. Like so-and-so's got a cramp, get that thing worked out. Here's the plays we got to know. This is that time for us until October to integrate everything that's happened so that when it goes forward again, we can engage and feel like we've got all of our ducks in a row and know what we're doing. And so let's take a look at the movement of the planets. All right, here we are today. Just as a reminder, Mercury crossed over the sun on Saturday. I don't know about you all, but Friday and Saturday were crazy busy. And it still is kind of lingering, but I don't know if you can notice that now there's a little more talking and the follow-up is not as immediate. We have felt this energy before with the past Mercury retrogrades, and hopefully we can get into that rhythm of feeling that pulsation of Mercury moving far ahead, way ahead, and then having to have patience with the follow-up, giving ourselves the padding that we need to do what we say we're going to do, and also being patient with other people around us when they say that they're going to do something and giving them a little padding as well. So we were with this Mercury about 4 degrees ahead of the sun. We're going to watch that just continually walk away. And so notice also we talked last time about the sun and Mercury being completely opposite Pluto and its portal, and giving us some perspective on that portal. And we'll talk about that again. Okay, here we go. Tomorrow, the sun finishes being opposite the Pluto portal and will be at 28.5 degrees Cancer. On the 26th, a little less than a week away, Mars will go into the Uranus portal. And we'll talk about that. I think that period will be quite intense. Then on the 2 days later, Mercury ends up across from, opposite the Saturn portal, giving us some perspective on what we've let go of. And the next day, Jupiter stations retrograde at almost 9 degrees Aries. On August 1st, Mars passes over Uranus. So they will, it's called a conjunction. And so they will both be in that same place. That'll be a big day, I think. And at the same time, Mercury completes its movement across from Saturn through that portal. And then the second, Mars leaves the Uranus portal at 19 degrees Taurus. And on the 3rd, we meet again. So we'll go back. Here we are today. The first week is kind of quiet, isn't it? And it's really the second week that is a bit more intense. But, you know, one of the things I always like to watch, because it's so easy to see, is that the spread between the sun and Mercury will increase. We can also watch Mars tick up and get close to and cross over Uranus. Okay, so here we go. And that's it. All right. So a little bit about the questions in the retrograde portal guides. As I mentioned, we are just finishing that passing of the sun being across from the Pluto portal. So if Capricorn is all about applying every single thing you know and why you're doing it, the opposite of that would be trusting your instinct, not having any complete rational reason that you could exactly point to, but you just know it's beyond reason, beyond rational thought to do something. And so this is a moment of trust in yourself to think about, okay, I've got to turn this whole thing, to start going back around and complete the cycle, by early next year. And how am I going to do that? And so, I had some questions last time. So again, it's what perspective do I have on it, how hard I tried or how well I have tried to apply my wisdom and experience this year. And what new plays are you instinctively feeling as you prepare to return to the field in October? So Venus will still pass across and we'll get a little more information then, but this is a time to trust your instincts. When I think about Cancer, I think about the sun being so bright, right? Because it's the time when the summer solstice hits. So bright that you can't see. You have to close your eyes almost and shade that sun and just trust and feel. And this is that time. The next thing is Uranus, the Uranus portal, and Mars passing through it from July 26th to August 2nd, about a week. And the thing with Uranus is that change is hard. Change is, and if it's easy for you, it's hard for someone else because we don't get to work and live in a vacuum. So it requires effort from them and the people around you have their own lives in a lot of ways, and they have to accommodate your change. And so there is this disruption that's been going on since May. And it's with Mars passing through the portal, it's like this final push through it, so that we can do everything we can for this first half of the change that we are experiencing in our lives. And we'll get another chance next year, but you're going to feel like, I have got to do these things. And as you are trying to do this, you may, that have to push feeling may come in the form of resistance from others who around you, who have to adapt to that change in your behavior or what you're trying to do. So in addition to the questions that I've got here, I added a couple more. How might I be resisting change in this part of my life? And where or with whom am I encountering resistance in changing this part of my life? It's just something to think about and have some compassion for yourself and others around you as you work with this. The day that Mars crosses over Uranus, just be mindful of where you're at. I want to say that I had kind of the same feeling when Mars moved into Taurus, that also was a time to be very concerned and just very, very aware of how you're using your energy and the energy of the people around you, because it's almost like people are throwing their bodies around in unexpected ways. So, or using their tools in different ways. So just be mindful. Saturn, Mercury being opposite that Saturn portal of what we've been releasing, how we've been streamlining our life. And with Mercury passing through, the opposite of those putting out the suggestion box of Aquarius is the Leo energy of, I love what I do and I want you to love it also. I'm just doing my thing. I do what I do, not making suggestions to anybody else. I'm just here like offering myself. And this perspective of, okay, now that I've streamlined my life a bit this year, what is now possible? What is there more space for me to offer and have my gifts received? Okay. Who's a good sounding board for these ideas? Who has seen what you've done and can offer up to you, how you start turning this around? Because the next stage is releasing more starting in late October. And so think about, wow, I can do all this stuff. I've cleared some space so I can be more of myself. And as more of the other planets, Sun and Venus, pass across, we'll get more information here, but this is kind of that perspective we're getting. And then Jupiter stationing retrograde on the 29th. So I always like to think of a week before and a week after is feeling that energy. And it is a time to reflect on how much you have grown. Who has been noticing you? Who is the tribe that's been around you that has kind of coalesced as the place that you're going to grow from? Who do you connect with? And it's a good time to be grateful for the growth that you've experienced, because when Jupiter goes retrograde, that growing kind of goes on pause. And I think of it as, if you think about a kid having like animals on their bed, there's no more space for any more stuffed animals on the bed. So they just got to like hang on, rearrange, see what they can pile up, and then there will be more space. And so last year, just as a comparison, the world started opening up. We had this growth because of vaccines, that people were allowed to go out in the world a little bit more and feel safer about doing that. But there was a point at which Jupiter stopped and the growth needed to be integrated. That everyone just went back to just grow, 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 expand, get out there. And instead, it became a time where there was a resurgence in the fall. And this is kind of that similar thing where let's just be grateful for the growth we've had and stop pushing. There will be more growth later, but this is the time to integrate and noticing where does that growth come from and tapping into that. So integrating it all together into like a story. This first week, for now, week ahead, will be useful for kind of getting things done, still accumulating that integration and resting when you can. I think this is important because the second week is going to require some careful pacing as multiple activities vie for our energy and attention. And yes, okay. You know what? I just realized I did not fix up this part of the chart. Okay, so we're gonna have to skip completely ahead to the end here. And I apologize. All right. So from the July 17th until the 21st tomorrow, we had the Mercury and the Sun pass opposite Pluto. So it's the time to be really thinking about the progress you've made. And you still feel like you're very far away from where you thought you were going to be at the end of the year, or where you think you'll be at the end of the year, and where you want to be. But you're going to keep turning it and start heading back into port, so to speak, and heading toward that goal. And just kind of this realization I had was that in tying this to the Chiron retrograde, it's like I had no idea how hard this work was going to be. So I stepped in just saying, let's just go, go, go. And then, wow, okay, this is going to require much more than I was expecting. And then these three energies kind of coalesce of Mars going through the Uranus portal. So there's a part of you that is trying to do that final push of implementing change and how you show up, who you show up for, and how you're using your tools. And during that second week, during this portal, you may feel some urgency or resistance. Mars kind of is both of those things. And at the same time, in the middle of that, you are thinking about, what is easeful for you, the gifts that you have to offer because you are making the change, because you've done all this work already, because you've been growing, like something has become easeful for you. And you have a gift that people want, people want to receive. And this is when Jupiter stations retrograde. So a week before to a week after is kind of that time where you can journal in your guide and note how much progress you've made and integrate that, because, in 4 months or so, that growth begins again and it gets to go deeper. And it's, take the wins and run or not run, take the wins and integrate that and work with the people around you to help you with that integration. And then survival tips. Okay. So once again, Mercury is ahead of the Sun. That distance is increasing. So we are asking for patience from people around us and also giving that to the people around us as well. And so any deadlines you put on yourself, pad them, because things are going to take longer than you think. So who has recognized all you've accomplished this year? they may be the ones who can support you and be a mirror during this second week. That could be pretty intense. Be mindful of how you deal with resistance. Gratitude for the wins you've had so far. And that first week, rest when you can, because I think that that'll really help you be prepared for the second week. And I'm going to stop my share and see if anyone has any questions or thoughts on this.
Hi. Sorry, I think earlier, I think I might have been seeing just one page of what you had been showing because I was on my phone. That's just sort of an aside, if other people were seeing something different. But I wanted to ask, I kind of missed, there was that one day that you said to be careful. It was like Mars and Uranus, maybe?
Yes. On August 1st, Mars crosses over Uranus while as it's moving through the portal. And those two energies together could be very disruptive. Mars is about putting your heart into things or having a lot of passion for things. So it can work in a very positive way to motivate you to do something that you know has to happen. It can also come towards you in a way where someone is forcing you to do something or trying to get you to do something that they want. And so those two forces together can be challenging, especially if you have something at that degree, which I believe is like 18 or 19. So just look in your own chart and you can see, and just be mindful of that.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Is that helpful for everyone else? Okay. All right. All right, you guys, I appreciate your support so much. If you, thank you for signing up for the webinar. If you've done that, if even if you can't make it, you can still sign up and then get the replay. And I look forward to sharing just more of that stuff. It'll be a good add-on to the work that we do here, I think, because it personalizes it. And so I'm eager to share that tonight. And I look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks at our next Coffee and Charts. And if you have any questions, especially during that second week, feel free to reach out. Okay. All right. I hope you feel prepared to move through these next 2 weeks and can start to use this time between now and October to integrate everything that you've done and show yourself a little gratitude and compassion for the dedication you've shown to yourself. In addition, I mentioned on the call that this is a time where you may need a little patience with yourself and others as you talk about things and then follow up with action. It may not go as quickly as you'd like, so give yourself a little bit of padding. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.